Hi, everyone, and welcome to our virtual field trip. My name is Casey Satteray, and I'm the Donor Stewardship and Social Media Manager for Washington's National Park Fund. We are joined today by Alma Busby Williams, a member of our Board of Directors and the DEI Committee, along with our speaker, Luke Byrd, but we'll get to him in a minute. I know we have a few new audience members, so I just wanted to share who WNPF is. We are the official philanthropic partner for Mount Rainier, North Cascades, and Olympic National Parks. We're incredibly fortunate to work closely with the parks and their superintendents as we work to fund 30 to 40 different projects every single year. Through all of this work, our vision is to see that our parks are strong and vibrant, youthful, and everlasting. Now, before we start, there are a few housekeeping items. This field trip is 45 minutes long with a 30-minute conversation amongst our speakers, and then there's a Q&A portion at the end. So feel free to enter any of your questions at the bottom in the Q&A box as we go. And we also have closed captioning enabled, so you can access that at the bottom of the Zoom menu as well. We welcome any feedback as we work to make these trips as accessible as possible. All right, so this week is National Park Week, and we are so excited to have you all joining us today. Every day this week, the National Park Service has a theme that encourages park goers to share your park story. And today's theme is gratitude. Here at the Fund, we have a tremendous amount of gratitude for having these 3 national parks here in Washington. We're also incredibly grateful for the honor of being able to support these parks every single day. And of course, we couldn't do it without our community of donors. That brings us to our guest today, Luke Byrd. Luke is one of our newest and youngest donors here at the Fund. And when he first reached out to us, sharing the news that he had raised a large amount of money to support Washington's national parks, and he wanted to deliver the check in person, we just had no idea how touching his story would be. So we're excited to get to know Luke, and I'm excited to dive in. Take it away, Alma.
Well, I just want to start with saying I am so excited to meet Luke and just his incredible work. And then my own housekeeping that I have is I am here because I wanted to be a part of this conversation, but I do have a min pin who may bark at certain times. So I apologize in advance. This is the Zoom world. So Luke, again, I'm excited. Can you give us a little background on like what inspired you to want to give to the parks and raise money for the parks?
Yeah, definitely. First off, I want to say I'm so grateful to be able to be here and speak with you, and hope I can help motivate a lot of people to get more into the national parks. But yeah, about what inspired me, just being raised with the cultural tie to the land. Personally, I'm Native American from the Chickasaw tribe. So having that cultural tie to the land, as well as having fond memories of hiking with my parents and going out every time I got to be able to hike, spend time and just generally spending time in nature.
Okay. So you grew up where?
I'm from Wenatchee, Washington. So really close to a lot of great hiking locations, which I'm really fortunate to be able to do.
Okay. All right. So for the folks out there that don't know about your project, could you please tell us and tell them a little bit more about it?
So my project is about raising awareness about the national parks. I talked to many people about the history of the national parks, kind of some of the struggles they're currently having, and kind of about park etiquette, about how you should be good stewards of the land, and how it is the national parks are important to not just the government and for enjoyment, but for individuals like you and me.
Absolutely. Let me just ask you, and this isn't even on the list, what's your favorite national park?
My favorite national park, it's a hard choice, but It's actually the least visited national park in Washington State, which is North Cascades National Park.
Okay. Why is that?
Mhm. Just partly because it's so unknown. Like there's not many people that go there. It's a beautiful place. It has many glaciers, rivers, and just is an amazing place to visit.
Wow. So tell me, what were like some of your favorite comments or reactions during some of your presentations?
Uh, just how welcoming everyone that I spoke to is and open they are to learning about more about the national parks. And many people I spoke to still to this day talk to me about uh, how they may have stopped someone from walking off the trails or feeding the animals and send me pictures about them visiting the national parks. And it's just warming to see that.
Yeah, okay. Any obstacles or, in your presentations or kind of strange off-putting comments or anything?
Uh, well, a big obstacle for me is going across all of Washington State, just because I'm very fortunate that my parents were able to drive me to to my presentations. But that was definitely a challenge. But I made it a focus for me personally to try to make it to as many people that I could. And so I would email out to different organizations, and all of them were very welcoming to me.
What's next? Are you a senior in high school?
I am. My plans is to go to college next year, and I'm really looking forward to that.
Okay, all right. Do you get a lot of young people that reach out to you saying that you've inspired them? I mean, you've inspired me. You know, like people at school that are inspired by you?
Yeah, I know right after I kind of was wrapping up the project, a lot of people came to me saying, "Oh, I want to be able to start my own project about something like that they're interested in." And so I would just try to motivate people to kind of take that step because it's very eye-opening and very motivating to be able to lead a project that is impactful to your life.
Luke, do you think that you'll have a career outdoors or doing something in the environment?
Maybe. I actually plan to become a tribal lawyer for my tribe. So being able to do that, but definitely part of it is conservation focused about maintaining the lands, and that's of big importance to me. But I definitely still think I'll be hiking and spending as much time as I can outdoors.
Okay. So how did you come across Washington's National Park Fund?
Mhm. So I reached out so I had the check, but I didn't know which organizations were good or not good. So I reached out to my congresswoman and she directed me to this organization. And I did a lot of more research into it. And I learned that it's a great organization that you are supporting the national parks. And that's when I decided to donate. And
Awesome. Okay. So how do you hope this gift will support Mount Rainier, North Cascades, and Olympic National Parks?
yeah, so a big focus on my organization or on the presentation was on kind of park etiquette. And so I know that uh, with a rise of visitation and a decrease in park rangers, it is difficult for the park rangers to keep up to stop harmful actions happening in the parks that are hurting conservation. So I'm really hoping that this can make a difference in the conservation effort and for people to be able to respect the national parks.
Perfect. So you chose to direct gifts towards visitors' experiences. So any project that you were more fond of or that you were more inspired by?
Uh, just generally like the park education for visitors is really important because a lot of people don't know to not feed the animals, stay off the trails. And I believe that with through the visitor experiences, that it will help educate visitors who are unaware of kind of the park etiquette and support them.
So you said that your parents grew up like you, taking you hiking and outdoors, right? So, but what's your special connection that really kept you going outside?
Mhm. Just I just have a natural draw towards nature. It's very difficult to explain, but having it's peaceful, definitely, and relaxing being in nature. And it's so amazing to be able to see the world and beautiful locations. We're very fortunate to live in Washington State, which is a beautiful state for nature. And so I'm really fortunate for that.
And so from your presentations that you give, what's the biggest takeaway that you want visitors to remember?
Mhm. So I want people to know about the history and kind of get dedicated into learning on their own about the histories of the parks, the importance, and just take away that the parks are very important to uh, us on a personal level and economically, and just in over general, they're important to preserve and protect nature.
Yeah. What's your advice to your peers or anyone that wants to get started in giving back to the places that they love, but they don't know how or where to start?
So, from personal experience, I would recommend to just take a leap, whether that be researching in projects that are dear to you, maybe looking into yourself and seeing what motivates you and something that's close to you. And then just you can reach out to organizations, research about different organizations across where you live. No matter how close or far they are, just look into them and then email at them. And I think you'll find out that a lot of people are willing to help. Uh, you just have to put yourself out there and be open.
Yeah. What did your Earth Day look like this year?
Mhm. So I was in Boston, yes, yesterday, but they doing a college orientation, and I'm fortunate enough that the university was very uh, supportive of Earth Day and had a lot of activities for that.
So how many presentations have you given? Like, or how many in a year have you given?
Right. So I've given around 25 community presentations, uh, and hit and reached over 1,000 people, which was amazing. And I overachieved all the previous goals that I had set.
So Luke, you seem like you have these awesome leadership skills. Did you develop them? Did you already have them, or did this like enable you to become a bigger leader?
Yeah, I definitely think I grew from taking the steps that I did during this project because I definitely saw growth in myself between when I started giving presentations and through the end, which I definitely think are due to me doing all these presentations and kind of trying to reach people. But part of it, I think, is that I was so passionate about the project that I was wanting to improve just so I could better present what my goals for the project was.
What would you want me to ask you that, we've gone through some of the basic background questions. What would you want people to know about you? I'm so sorry.
It's okay. Uh, I really want people to know about me personally. Uh, just that it's important to be dedicated to what you do and to stay motivated in what you want to do because there might be times where it's like difficult, for me driving from one side of the state to the other. But if you're motivated for it, you see the value in it, it's important to stay dedicated to that. And at the end, you're going to look back and it's all going to be worth it.
What's your biggest hope for the future in conservation?
So my hope is that people more and more with the increase in visitation are able to see the importance of the national parks and the importance of conservation for future generations and want to personally support the national parks and to learn more about it themselves. I'm sorry, you're muted. Oh,
Yes, I'm so sorry. I'm learning from you, Luke. So I want to make sure that we have time for questions and answers. But if there's anything else, and I will ask Casey that we're just excited to have you here and to be inspiring, not just young people, because when I read about you, I was inspired myself. So I just want to say it is just thrilling to have you here. And if there's anything else you would like to say before we got in the questions and answers, I will.
yeah, definitely. One thing I'd like to say is to anyone who may know someone who wants to start a project, just take the first step. You're gonna look back and you're definitely not gonna regret it. No matter how small of an impact it is, it still is an impact. And to get like a lot of small impacts can group together to make a very large and significant impact. And if people work together, if you find people who are also interested in the same things that you are and work together, I'm sure you can achieve your goals.
I have one other question. Are you ever discouraged? I mean, do you ever say like you're hiking somewhere and you're in the beautiful North Cascades, you see litter or you see people off trail? Are you ever discouraged, or what keeps you going?
I think what keeps me going every time I do see like litter in the forest or in the North Cascades, it motivates me to educate more people, because if you see litter, that means there are people who still don't know about park etiquette, and it's important to correct those harmful actions. Of course, there's times where it can be difficult, but it's important to keep yourself motivated and keep pushing to reach as many people as possible, no matter what your goals are.
I have one more question because I talk a lot, Luke, and I find you fascinating. So I'm a member of the Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Committee, and sometimes you will hear the statement that environmentalism is so white. So you talked about your tie to your tribal community. Can you tell me what it means for people to see you out there?
Yeah, it's definitely hits close to home with me, because so many people see, as you stated, conservation as a white activity, but it's definitely not. It's important to see that it's not just important to one social group of people or one race. It's important to everyone, and it's important for future generations down the line to be able to see nature and just have that accessible to people.
Thank you. Casey, anything else you'd want me to follow up on?
No, we have a couple questions from the audience, but I actually just wanted to jump back to your presentation real quick. Can you just give me like rough numbers on how many people you met or you presented to, where you presented at, and yeah, just like an overall, overview about your presentation.
Right. So I presented all across Washington State to men's groups, women's groups, children's groups, as many as I could email, and they got back to me. And so I would drive there, meet a lot of new people. reached over 1,000 people, which was great. And every group that I met was very open and very supportive to me, which I was very grateful for. And together with all the help that I was able to raise, I was lucky enough to raise over $10,000 for the national parks.
That's amazing. So when you say you were raising $10,000, how did you make that ask to people you'd never met before?
Yeah, so I'd bring up statistics that are important to know about how, with the increase in visitation, financial support for the national parks from the government has remained the same, and park ranger numbers have decreased actually. So I wanted to showcase the need for the national parks and how they are important and how they are not getting the aid that they need to maintain the current visitation populations that they are having.
Yeah, go ahead, Alma.
Who's your biggest environmental role model?
I would probably say my father. He's taken me hiking uh, all across Washington State. He's very supportive of conservation. He kind of instilled in me the duty that you have to conserve or preserve the land.
It's always good to have a role model out there. This one's from one of our audience members. How does Luke recommend having the conversation when you see someone in the park doing things that they shouldn't? Have you ever come across that situation?
Yes, I have. Sadly, too many times. If you see people walking off trail or feeding animals, I recommend going calmly up to them. You don't want to anger them. So I recommend going calmly up to them, kind of saying, like, this is not the way that it should be done, and kind of explain uh, why, depending on what it is. And maybe try to tell them about the importance of it not doing that and trying to change their mind so they can also see not to do it again in the future, but also to tell their friends and their family to also not do that. So the goal is kind of to create another person who wants to preserve the national parks.
How long have you been an advocate for the parks, Luke?
Mhm. So it's been having hiked during my childhood and to this day. And so you could always say I was always an advocate for the national parks, but more in depth. I was about 3, 4 years ago. I was at Mount Rainier, seeing people feeding animals, walking off trails, and it kind of motivated me to see the need for an educational program to teach visitors about park etiquette to help reduce harmful actions on the national parks.
This other question is from one of our audience members. Based off of what you've learned from giving all these presentations and engaging with Washington residents about the national parks, do you have any advice for youth of color or Indigenous youth who are interested in pursuing this type of conservation as well?
Hmm. Yeah, so I recommend looking into, there are a lot of programs out there that can help you uh, give back to the national parks or just conservation efforts in general. So I'd recommend researching first about different programs in your area, maybe some groups that are also aligned with your views. And so there are really great programs out there. And if you see something that aligns with your opinions and views, I definitely recommend to jump in on that. But if you don't find something, maybe try to start at your own, because there are usually other people out there with the same ideas as you, and you'll be able to start something great.
Thanks, Luke. I'm sure a lot of people here can agree that you're very inspiring for an 18-year-old. So that's really cool that you're getting so engaged with the community and giving back. Oh, we have another question here. Did anything surprise you along the way during your project? Either something about the parks or about the people that you communicated with?
Yeah, definitely that was surprising. I didn't expect how many people would be so open to the idea of conservation. I definitely think there'd be some uh hesitant people out there, but everyone I met was very open to the ideas. And once you educate them on the importance, if you go about it kind of in the right way, people will want to give more and want to dedicate their time to the national parks.
And last question here. Do you have a favorite national park memory that you can tell us about?
Mhm. My favorite national park memory was when I was around 8 to 10 years old. Uh, I boarded a boat in Lake Chelan and rode to a small town in the North Cascades called Stehekin. Uh, it's has no electricity, uh, and it has a great bakery there. And I remember just spending time with my family and some of my friends, uh, just exploring the area and seeing all the beautiful sights that nature has offered people.
We definitely have a lot of Stehekin fans out there, so you are not alone in having that be a favorite spot for you. Okay, so we're gonna wrap up here, folks. I'm just gonna share my screen real quick. Thanks again, Luke, for joining us. It's really fun getting to know donors, especially folks that we don't usually get in touch with in terms of like our younger audiences. So this was just a really fun way to, meet you. If you haven't read our blog with Luke, he talks a little bit more about his project and how he found us, why he decided to give back to the parks. And you can find that at WNPF.org/blogs. On the screen here is just it's a overview of the different projects that we fund in the national parks here in Washington. And all of these projects across the parks would otherwise go unfunded. So thanks to our national park community of donors here in Washington, as well as across the United States who have supported these projects every single year. And we could not have done it without all of you. Let's see here. If you'd like to see more of our virtual field trips, you can find us on YouTube by searching Washington's National Park Fund. And as mentioned in our previous virtual field trip last month, we will be taking a break from our monthly trips during the summer so that our team can go out and enjoy the parks. And we will return in the fall to catch you up on what's been going on throughout the summer and just in the past year in general. If you felt inspired by today's conversation, consider joining us for Give Big this coming May 2 to 3, which is next week. It's a statewide campaign where individuals like you and me get to give back to local Washington nonprofits. And our goal here at WNPF this year is to reach $20,000. And thanks to a generous friend of the fund, we have a $10,000 match. So your donation can be doubled and you can make twice the impact in our national parks. To see what it's all about, visit WNPF.org/givebig. Thanks again to Luke for joining us and Alma for guiding the conversation. Yeah, we're excited to hear more stories from you, Luke, this summer and see where you end up this coming year.
Thank you. It was a pleasure to be able to speak with you.